Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, December 23rd. We have got Mock Draft Monday on deck for y'all today, and there's been a bit of a shakeup because the Raiders, they held the number one overall pick entering yesterday's slate of games. The Raiders beat the Jaguars, so the Jaguars jump the Raiders, who fall down all the way to 6 in draft order. Jaguars move up to 3, so you've got the Giants at 1, probably taking a quarterback. You've got the Patriots at 2. Who knows? There's a lot of different things that they could do. They certainly won't be taking a quarterback now that they have Drake May. But looking at this draft, this mock draft, there's a lot of different ways the Jaguars can go. Now, before we get into it, I am going to say we're going to dive into free agency a little bit. So we're going to sign a starting outside receiver. Let's say Amari Cooper, but it could be one of 5 or 6 different names at outside receiver that the Jaguars could pursue. Because look, one thing the Jaguars, you can 100% say they have not done during Trevor Lawrence's time as a quarterback for the Jaguars, they have not given him 2 quality outside receivers. They haven't done it in 1 year. They haven't done it. So pair Brian Thomas Jr. up with a veteran starting receiver. Look, Gabe Davis, they tried. It didn't work out. It was a bad move. But you can't let that sunk cost of having Gabe Davis around next year make you feel like you're paralyzed. You can't do anything because of that, right? You've got to go get a starting caliber receiver to pair with Brian Thomas Jr. for next year. And you've got to probably try to address that position in the draft as well. Not necessarily at the top, but to build out an infrastructure for the future. You need to win in 2025. You've got to win in 2025. So you go get a starting receiver. Let's say it's Amari Cooper. So you got Cooper and Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside. You can feel pretty good about that. You need a starting safety as well. Andre Cisco is a free agent. Darnell Savage will be here. That's another one. Maybe a little bit better of a move than Gabe Davis was, but not by a whole lot. I don't think that you feel great about Darnell Savage as a starting safety. Andrew Wingard should still be in town. Hopefully he can compete. But let's say you go get Justin Reed. Budda Baker and Javon Holland will be the bigger fish. Justin Reed won't be as much, but he can certainly play in a 2-high system, which most of the league is running these days, cover 2 shell. He can play downhill in the box. He's a thumper. He's athletic. He's played in the AFC South. He's played on championship teams with the Kansas City Chiefs. They just drafted Jaden Hicks, who will likely be his replacement, so I could see him hitting the market. And Justin Reed coming in, not nearly as expensive as the Budda Bakers and Javon Hollands of the world, and somebody who can probably bring you a little bit more consistency than Andre Cisco has been able to bring. Even though Cisco is a bigger playmaker in coverage, I think Reed brings more consistency and pop to the downhill part of playing safety. Not going to be a single high cover 1 type of guy, but is what it is. We're signing Josh Uche as well from the Kansas City Chiefs, a veteran designated pass rusher who I've wanted the Jaguars to sign for a long time or trade for. Great years in New England as a designated pass rusher. Hasn't done much since getting to Kansas City. He hits the free agent market, won't cost a lot of money, still in his prime. He's going to come in and be that change up behind Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker. And then we're signing an interior offensive lineman to compete as a primary backup at right guard, center, maybe both, and maybe compete for a starting job as well. Somebody who has starting experience in the league. There will be some interior guys that fit that bill. In the draft, finally getting to the draft here. The Giants, they take Shedeur Sanders at 1. It's draft night. Let's roll through this, right? Giants take Shedeur Sanders at 1. It could be Cam Ward, but let's just say Shedeur because the Giants, they're not as risk prone as an organization. I think they're going to try to go for the thing that they feel a little bit safer, which might be Shedeur Sanders here at quarterback. The Patriots, they say thanks for the trade offer, folks, but we're not missing out on Travis Hunter. We're not trading down below the Jaguars, letting the Jaguars get Travis Hunter. We want Travis Hunter, and we're going to take him at 2 overall. Now, the Jaguars are in the prime spot to trade up for Cam Ward if a team wants to do that. We're just running through different scenarios as we go through these mock draft Mondays, right? So we're going to say that a team does want to trade up for Cam Ward here. And that team, it's going to be the Raiders who want to jump the Titans and the Browns two teams that are quarterback needy franchises, right? They absolutely are. So the Raiders, who just lost to the Jaguars, are now trading up with the Jaguars. That would be fitting, wouldn't it? The Jaguars get pick 6, 37, and 73. And the one position we didn't address in free agency that really needed to be addressed was cornerback. And the reason we didn't do that is because we felt no matter what, at 6 or top of the or at 3, your first round pick, or your top pick in the second round, we're going to be able to get a corner that we feel good about pairing up with Tyson Campbell long term. In this situation, Will Johnson is available. And Will Johnson is a prototypical type of guy, 6'2", 200 plus pounds. He's got the strength, the length, the quick feet, the fluid hips. He sees the game incredibly well. Like we talk about Travis Hunter's route anticipation. Will Johnson has that at an extremely high level too. I think he clearly studies the game. He knows how opponents are trying to attack him, and he's a playmaker. So Will Johnson to pair with Tyson Campbell, you've turned your cornerback room there into one of the best cornerback duos in the league potentially. You've also got Jarian Jones playing in the nickel. So you've got a nice little setup there. You've upgraded safety as well with Justin Reed. Now at 34, the Jaguars first pick in the second round. Tyler Booker's still on the board, and this guy is a borderline top 20 prospect for me. He's not going to be the elite athlete, all that stuff, but power at the point of attack in the run game. He's going to clear holes for your runners, and he's going to protect your quarterback with his length, his strong hands, and his anchor on the interior. Right guard, plug him in. You're feeling good to go about your run game, a lot better than you did exiting the 2024 campaign. Then at 37, which is that pick we got back from the Raiders, there's a lot of different directions we could go here. I wanted to continue to fortify the trenches. The Jaguars, they have just not been strong up their spine, particularly at safety. Here and there at linebacker, obviously Foye has been good, but you've had inconsistency outside of Foye. And then interior offensive line, interior defensive line. Alfred Collins is available at 37, and he's not a 3-tech. He's not this dominant interior penetrator, but I think what Alfred Collins brings is kind of what the Jaguars need. It's somebody who can dominate against the run with his length, strength, his ability to stack and shed, to eat up multiple blocks at a time, to disengage from those blocks as well when he needs to. Alfred Collins out of Texas is 6'5". I think he has close to 35-inch arms. He's 320 pounds. He is an elite run defender. And what you have already is Mason Smith, who I think is looking more and more like they might have found somebody there who can be a disruptor, but maybe not that nose tackle or guy that's really going to help you dominate against the run from a stoutness standpoint, more of that, again, disruption type player Mason Smith is. So Alfred Collins comes in and he's immediately a big upgrade against the run for you. And the Jaguars have struggled to stop the run a good bit this year. And then our next pick is at 70. Xavier Watts, still on the board, the safety out of Notre Dame. He is a turnover machine. The reason he could still be on the board in this spot is because he's not an elite athlete. He's not going to have elite long speed or explosiveness or even the most fluid hips necessarily. But again, in a 2-high system, cover 2 shell, I think he operates at an extremely high level. He does not miss tackles. He makes plays on the football. He can probably, against tight ends and backs, be reliable in man-to-man coverage in that situation. He doesn't necessarily have the range you think of as a true cover 1 single high safety, but he does it at a high level due to his instincts. And, he's a good athlete, not a great athlete. So he can just do a lot for you on the back end. And you're pairing him with Justin Reed, Darnell Savage, Andrew Wingard. You're starting to look like you have a really good safety room potentially there for the 2025 season and beyond. Then at 73, Jaden Higgins is still on the board. And this is a player, I've talked to y'all about him. He's 6'4". He's 215 pounds. I like bringing him into this situation because you're not throwing him in and saying, look, you have to be our number 2 receiver. You have to be a starting receiver immediately. You have Brian Thomas Jr. and Amari Cooper. Parker Washington's still going to be around as well. I think that Christian Kirk probably gone. Evan Ingram, who knows how that's going to play out. I would probably keep Evan Ingram if you're going to let Christian Kirk go. Evan Ingram doesn't have a huge cap hit. I think that the value of a move tight end compared to what they get compensated from a salary standpoint, I just think that Evan Ingram is a pretty good value. So getting back to Jaden Higgins, though, he comes in and he's going to be a starter of the future for you. He can also be a power slot early on, and if there is an injury, he can probably come in and play at a high level. He's got great hands. He's very physical, releases off the line well against press, physical as a route runner and at the catch point. Like, he's able to use elbows, little jabs, forearms, hands, not fully extended arms, right, to not draw that OPI, but he just separates really well with, again, using his physicality, but also at 6'4", 215, he has more nimbleness and kind of the ability to get in and out of his breaks and sink his hips at a high level for that size, and that helps him to be an effective route runner on in-breaking routes and out-breaking routes. So Jaden Higgins at 73. And then we're going to trade up. We acquired, a good amount of draft capital. We feel like we can trade up. A lot of running backs were coming off the board here. A lot of running backs that I liked came off the board, but the one that was still there that I felt like has legitimate workhorse 3-down potential was Nick Singleton, and we've talked about him a lot on the channel, but he is a big runner, 220-ish pounds, about 6 feet tall. He's probably going to be running in the 4.4s. He's very explosive. I love that he's a great pass protector and a great pass catcher and a strong runner. So he can be that full-time workhorse type of guy. Not that you're going to utilize him as that every week, but if you get in those situations where you're trying to grind games out, I think Nick Singleton is going to be able to help you do that better than the two guys you currently have. Because look, Tank Bigsby, as much as I love him, he's got to develop more ball security. Travis Etienne, he is not a grinder. He is a get him in space type of football player. So Nick Singleton's going to help you out in that regard. And again, pass catching, very nice for Nick Singleton, and so is his pass protection. At 106 overall, top of day 3, Jared Ivey's still on the board out of Ole Miss, and there's a lot of edge rushers that could potentially be available here. So I think landing somebody who can come in and compete with Miles Cole, with Josh Uche, just makes a lot of sense. And Jared Ivey, he's he's kind of more in the mold of Trayvon and Josh, those big hulking edge presences. And I think that he would easily make the football team and make the football team better immediately. Coming out of Ole Miss. At 141, we're getting our backup quarterback of the future. I just think he's a great value at this spot in the draft if he's still available. Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel, the lefty. He does not have the physical ability, in my opinion, to be a starter in the league, but he does have enough physical ability and smarts and just know-how to play the quarterback position to be a good backup for a long time. So I like Dylan Gabriel there. At 193, somehow Andrew Makuba is still on the board out of Texas, the safety. He's played nickel as well, going back to his Clemson days. He's just a great football player. So if you're able to get somebody that good to come in, and realistically, I don't think Andrew Makuba will be there. But every single year we get to the 6th and 7th round and we're like, how is this guy still on the board? So maybe it could be an Andrew Makuba. Maybe it's someone else. But going and getting a value at this spot, maybe Andrew Makuba, people don't think he has enough elite athleticism or size and he falls down the board, or someone similar, right? And then at 218, wide receiver Jack Besh is still here out of TCU. I think he can be a power slot as well. If you had Brian Thomas Jr., Jaden Higgins, and Jack Besh long-term, along with Parker Washington as your kind of top 4 receivers, I think you could feel pretty excited about that. He's 6'2", 215 pounds, so he brings a lot of strength as well. And this is a group to get fired up about. Really good hands from Brian Thomas Jr., who's obviously had some ups and downs with his hands a little bit this year, but headed in the right direction, no doubt about that. Jaden Higgins has insane hands. He drops nothing. Jack Besh has really strong hands as well. Parker Washington, I think, has shown to have strong hands. Amari Cooper. So you've just got dudes, Evan Ingram, that you can feel really good about for Trevor Lawrence. You have massively upgraded the interior of the offensive line with a free agent signing and with Tyler Booker. You have gone and, potentially made one of the better trios in the league at corner, adding Will Johnson to Tyson Campbell, Jarian Jones, Justin Reed at safety, Xavier Watts, and Andrew Makuba. And Andrew Makuba can be a kind of versatile defensive back for you. You don't have to lock him in at safety. He can play nickel as well, so you've got versatility there. Alfred Collins, I think, immediately helps you upgrade that run defense. So let me know what y'all think about this one. I'd be fired up about a draft like this. The Jaguars potentially being in a spot to trade down because of what has happened over the last week or so in the league. Again, maybe the Patriots trade down in front of the Jaguars if this is how the draft order winds up. But maybe they don't, right? Maybe they don't. We'll see how it plays out. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, comment, subscribe. You can also check out jinjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I'm wearing right now. Y'all have a good one.